So you can't get to your nail salon. What do you do when they're all closed? I'm going to walk you through a first week fill, second week fill, and so on. I'm going to take your nails from having nails that are growing off to looking more like this. Let me walk you through step by step. Let's get started. So maybe you needed your nails done and your salon has been closed for a week. Well, you're not too desperate, so this is what you can do. It's essentially the same for first, second, third, and so on. But what you need is a good set of files. So most files, just to simplify it as much as possible, are more of a fine, a medium, and a coarse. Coarse is actually beneficial if you're taking down acrylic or gel, or even a tip for that matter, because you want to get right through to it, right? So that's what you want to start with. It's about a 180 or a 150 grit, and that's okay to use on fake nails, okay? Not on your natural nails so much. So in a previous video, I bought some tips that I put on. And then another video, I shortened these two just to sort of show you how to get the longevity out of them. So now let's say your nails are grown out about 10 days, 2 weeks. The first thing you want to do is, like I say, get that good file and then start to shorten these down. So these ones are already down. The reason why we do that is because as they grow off more, that first week out, second week out, they're off balance. So we need to shorten it to stop the heaviness on the end. So that's the first thing you want to do. I always recommend that you take the length off first. You could start filing the thickness down, but honestly, why file thickness of length that you don't need anyway, right? So take the length off first. It's easier to do it this way than this way. You can do it this way, but it'll kind of wobble a little bit. You can see that. I'm exaggerating, but that's what it sort of does. And sometimes it doesn't feel very comfortable on the nail at all. So I turned over, and sometimes you can use your thumb to sort of brace it so it doesn't move so much, okay? You can see this doesn't take a ton, but this is also just a simple little tip with some, well, it's glue basically. If you saw the video, it's just basically a glue. They call it gel in a package, but it's just glue over top. And it files down, especially with such a gritty file, it files down pretty good. You can see I'm taking it down quite a bit. And I'll do that again with the pinky. Sometimes I'll go like this. I know this looks really awkward, but if you're doing it yourself, right? You want to hold it. I know that, doesn't that look funny? But you can literally hold it like that. Does that make sense? Just wrap all your fingers around your little pinky, and then you can just start sawing off the top. Okay, I'm getting down to it now. So that's just the length. You may feel like, okay, I can live with these for a while. They're nice and short. They've only grown out a week to 10 days. I could still kind of live with those. But let's say you're 2 weeks out, let's say, and you're starting to look, or even 3 weeks out, and you want to get rid of the thickness and start the process of them growing off. You could file them all the way down right to the natural nail, but honestly, I wouldn't do that so much, and there's no need to. Your nails will grow over from cuticle to the free edge in about a 3 to 6 month period, depending on the natural growth of your own natural nail. So there's no need to shorten it right down or file it right down to the natural nail, because you will, even a professional could take the chance of filing down into your natural nail, because it's very hard to see the difference between fake nail and natural nail. So just file the surface of it, really. You just want to take the ridges away and any little bump that's near the cuticle. You know that bump when they grow out? Some nail technicians are a little more skilled than others, and it's a tough thing to do. I'm no judgment, that you want to make it nice and smooth. And sometimes it's a smooth grow out, and sometimes it's a little bit of a ridge. You kind of want to get at that ridge and file it down. So let's take this finger here, and I'm just going to file the surface of it. And I'm pressing kind of hard. Pressure is one thing that's really hard to teach on camera because y'all can't feel it. That's what I love about classes one-on-one, but we're not doing that right now. So I'm just going to file it, but I'm not filing the natural nail. I'm not going to take this file and file around my cuticle. I'm really going to focus on the fake part. So just focus on the fake part, okay? Now that's only if you're finding it kind of lumpy. We want to smooth this so when we put polish on, it kind of looks all as one, but I got a couple of tricks for that too. Okay, so I'm just going to file this down. Just try to smooth it out a little bit. And I'm going to do that to all of them now. I'm going to do the ring finger. Now, if you have any lifting pockets, you do kind of want to file those up now. I put these little tips on. I don't know if you caught that video, but you know, just something to get you by for the weekend. It was actually a quick little application. They looked rather cute. They lasted about 5 days before I broke the thumb. And when you file these, you might find that some of yours just lifted or the end comes off when it gets too thin. Sometimes that can happen. That's okay. Let's pretend that happened here. See how that little chunk has come off there? When the tip came off, it just kind of snapped my natural nail too. That's what it does sometimes. So you can see that there, eh? That's my bare skin. And that is where it started the nail. But you can see how lopsided it is. So I'm going to see if I can even that up a little bit. I'm kind of glad that broke just so it can show you how you would finish that. And again, I will go over top of the whole fake part, not the natural nail part. And I will just kind of smooth it out and try to make it as flush as I possibly can. Sometimes when things break off, they're a little ridgy or cliffy or ledgy, and you kind of want to file all those off. The idea is just make everything so smooth. But the trick is not filing into your natural nail. You don't want to do that. That goes for pro or non-pro, right? You just don't want to do that. So I am going to file all these guys down a little bit smoother. I was wishing there was some little lifted corner, but there really isn't. So I'm just going to soften the corners a little bit so that these are, you know, not too sharp on the edge. And again, I'm buffing this nice and smooth. Now, this is a removal process. And of course, removal would infer that you're taking it completely off. The reason why I don't do that, guys, is because if you leave a little protection on there, it grows off and you're replacing it with all new nail. No point in taking it all off and taking a chance of filing your natural nail because they can be a little bit sensitive. They can be a little sensitive when you're handling hot and cold water. It also can be that if you file it too thin, when they grow out, they split. That will drive you nuts. So I totally advise, being someone that takes my nails off on a weekly basis, then I know how it can be if you do it too thin. So you just don't want to do that. That's what I'm trying to avoid for you. You just want to get you by until this craziness is all over, right? Okay, so I'm going to just finish this little guy off. Okay, so I'm just softening the corners now. Now these guys I did the other day, but I'm going to take them down a little bit more. There's a quick little video showing you how to shorten them when they've just grown out a little bit if you don't want to break them before you can get back into your nail tech. Okay, so I think I'm relatively happy with all that. Okay, oh, I didn't do the index. Just let me give that a little buff over. Okay, so now I'm going to go to a medium file. And that medium file is about, what is it now? About a 240, somewhere in there. And I am going to just softly go over the same areas that I just went over now. Still kind of avoiding the natural nail area. If you hit it, it's not as crucial. The idea is we want to make the natural nail flush with the way the acrylic or the fake nail begins. You want to make those areas flush. That'll make a difference in your polish. Okay, so I'm just buffing over all of the nails that we just did. It's not too long of a process either. It's just a kind of a quick buff. And then you can have a fine file. They can vary in grits, just as long as it's fine. You want to go over all of the nails one more time. Oh, thumb. Keep forgetting the thumb. He's way over here. Okay. Then, if you have this one, it's not crucial to do this. I like this because it kind of bends and surrounds around the nail. So you can just go over it. Now, this one you can hit the natural nail a little bit. So now I'm getting to the point where I'm sort of blending it a little bit within the natural nail. But I'm not focusing on the natural nail. I'm still just focusing on the acrylic. Or the fake part, right? The fake nail part. This applies to gel or acrylic or tips or even dip, whatever you've got on your nails. This applies to all the fake nails, you might say. So you might ask, why can't you just go from coarse to a softer sponge? You will see the scratchy marks. It's like sanding anything. You have to go down in gradients to actually work, actually. I learned that with nails and with sanding stuff, with painting stuff. So now I've got another file here. It's one I sell. It's called the Smooth and Shine. And that's a very, very fine grit. And I'm going to file the whole thing over. And I'm actually hitting the natural nail too. So I'm blending these two together, trying to be seamless. Now that's easier said than done. That can be really tough. It's tough in skills and application. And when you're filing to try to make it look this way, I mean, there's a skill level in everything. But once you do this a little bit more, you get better at it. And now I'm just filing each and every nail. Now these were a little tip that I put on. And they were just something to get me by through the weekend, just showing you guys what you can do with something you can just purchase off the shelf in a store, maybe near you. And in this case, maybe you're going to order it online. But just showing you something that you can just put on real quick. And I showed the wear and tear, and they're actually pretty, it's on my left hand. Imagine it was on my right hand. It's pretty worn, torn. So by doing this method, I'm actually protecting my natural nail. And you know what? You don't have to have any particular oil. You know, use olive oil, baby oil, hair oil, use anything just to sort of bring back that natural shine again. So all we're trying to do is shorten the nail as much as possible, take down some thickness so you don't have that weight on it, and smoothing it out toward the natural nail. That's basically what we've done here. Okay. Now, you could just call it a day and leave it like this, and off you go, right? And as they grow out a little bit longer, I suggest you shorten that length. You don't have to take down the thickness so much because you've kind of done that. So just as they grow out, like right now, this is like a 10-day grow out. So some cuticles blending into the natural nail will be smoother than others. You can see this finger here is the transition is actually quite smooth. This one is a little bit more, you can see a definition between natural nail and acrylic. This one's a bit smoother, and the pinky's not so bad either. Okay, so now you could go just like this. You don't have to do anything more. But if you want to polish them, a couple of little tips to make your polish look a little bit more smooth. Because remember, we're trying to hide a 10-day to 2-week-ish kind of fill. So I'm going to a little bit of nail polish remover, and I'm just going to remove that oil that I just kind of smoothed onto the natural nail. Okay, and I'm going to grab my little tube here, and I've just grabbed a color, no particular reason, just grab this little Essie color. I just liked it. Okay, but before, remember I got the oil all over my hand. Okay, but before that, remember that little ridge we're talking about in there? Okay, so I do happen to have this ridge filler, and I bought this on Amazon, so you can get this too. And what the ridge filler does, it fills in ridges. Actually can be quite effective. So let's just do that first. And the reason why I'm suggesting this, because when you put nail polish on, nail polish will settle into lower areas. If you put the ridge filler on, its job is to settle in lower areas, but to still keep an even flat surface, which would be beneficial for when you nail polish. Okay? And no, you cannot use this for gel polish. So I'm going to use this ridge filler, and let's see how effective it is. Now I will use it on all of them simply because it might look different if I just use it on one. Now this is not a must-have step, it's just an optional step. I will get more detailed about ridge fillers. I've got an in-depth series coming about a natural nail manicure right from beginning to end. I'll walk you through. But so ridge fillers are more for those ridgy nails. That's what it's, I think, originally designed for, but I'm cheating and using it in this method. Now my thumb is not going to look as good in this because of the one side actually kind of missing, but that won't take long for it to grow back. I'm hopeful for it. Okay, so now we can get to the color. Now I find in colors, you're better to go with even 3 thinner layers if you want to get that depth of color that you're seeing in the bottle. Better than, let's say, 2 thicker layers or even 1 thick one. So it's pretty dry now, so I'm going to do my little coat of color. Don't want to flood the cuticle. I definitely would start a little higher up, and you can sort of creep back to the cuticle. It's a nice thin brush, so you're able to get in there. One thing, after working with polish for so long, you don't have as much playtime with nail polish like you do gel. Hope I didn't mess that up. So get in and get out. I'm going to do another coat or 2 so I can be able to cover that. So remember, go 3/4 of the way up. You can slide in toward the cuticle so you don't flood it. Did that a little bit too thick there. I don't know if you guys have noticed my other hand. Usually, I'm so particular about making sure my other hand looks really good. But as you can see, this one has grown out quite a bit. And I even use this as a demo in one of the videos. I'm actually leaving that because I want to show you what it's like to do your other hand, because you may be at home stuck with doing your own nails or doing something with them. So I'd leave that. And that's grown out about, I think that's about 2, maybe pushing 3 weeks. Not bad, but I will get to that another time. So I'm going to do a second coat on this, maybe a third coat, and then a top coat. But you know how it goes. You know the drill. Let's take a look at the reveals now. So don't forget, if you use nail polish, they're going to need a little time to dry. I find sometimes putting them under cold water might help. Sometimes some people will put oil on top of them. You can use olive oil or something like that to help them dry a little bit faster. But that's it. So I'm just going to let that dry. Now, they're not the same as if you had them done professionally, but considering this is not bad, this can certainly get you by. I'll have a lot of more videos coming at you to help you with how to take care of your nails at home. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Take care. Catch you in the next video.